Thank you. Steve.
Thank you, Chair. And like Councillor Bowden, I just wanted to comment on really that chapter about 8 and making the difficulties, because since the Labour budget, as this central forecast predicts, that the impact on mortgage rates, or sorry, Bank of England rates, instead of falling to 4.5, is likely to be stagnated at the moment. We'll find out in the near future whether that is or not. And that has a real impact, not just on us, but on households, and the fact that Labour government's budget has actually added cost onto the average mortgage holding household. This is compounded by the fact that the energy prices, they've allowed a higher cap on that. The lack of wage increases caused by the National Insurance Employers' Contribution. There are a huge multitude of complex effects, both on the household budget, but also on the money markets. We see the Bank of England Committee, the Monetary Policy Committee, will be moving forwards, considering where we are with inflation, which is their only key measurement, whilst at the same time, every indicator is now that the country is being driven into a recession, with the first month actually out into minus figures. And what's scary about that is, whilst the monetary policy is being driven by inflation, and we've seen so many inflationary measures come forward recently from whilst the Labour government's been in power, at the same time our whole economy could be going into recession, which will make it difficult for the monetary policy to reduce interest rates whilst the inflation rates go higher and higher. At the same time, we see Keir Starmer renegotiating the Brexit deal with Europe, trying to give away our rights. At the same time, as Europe itself has got multiple political and financial difficulties, and the thought of going back in there and realigning ourselves when we left, when the election came over, UK was the highest increase in GDP in the whole of the G7. So it's very worrying. I don't know where it's going to go forward, but in actually handling it, going on to more constructive things than just politically criticising the appalling way the Labour government has started their legacy, in more constructive way, I look at the prudential and treasury indicators, and we talk about what is the difference between our returns on our investment and the cost of our debt, and how that can move with time. And it's actually you could end up with being worse off in both if matters are handled in a poor way. And I think that whilst we leave a lot of day-to-day decision making to the very competent officers who are much more skilled than I am at looking at that, we could rein in their ability to affect that more and actually de-risk that slightly by actually looking at our planned minimums and maximums in our TMS. If we actually reduce the flexibility there on the areas that they're allowed to operate in, whilst the rewards may be lower, the risk is de-risked to a certain extent. And I suggest that perhaps that's something that we as members would like to have a deep dive in, an actual session on outside of the committee, so we can actually understand that a bit more and see if there is flex for us to actually restrict the parameters of operation a little bit further than they are at the moment, not because it doesn't give the best possible chance of financial return, but it gives the best possible chance of de-risking this organisation. Thank you, Chair.